What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. Today I'm joined by co-host and co-captain Justin. Justin, it's been a little while since we've done this together. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. So, today starts a multi-episode series where essentially we're going to look at the current September 25th, 2023 limited and forbidden list. And we're going to take this one card at a time, all the way from Arch Nemesis Protos, which is currently forbidden, all the way down to Sprite Starter, which is at 2. So everything in between we're going to discuss, and we're going to kind of talk about why these cards are banned. Could they ever come back? And we're not really going to talk about, like, with an errata, could this be unbanned? Because pretty much anything could get unbanned with the correct errata, but we'll pretty much talk about the cards as they are currently and see if we feel like they need to stay banned or if they could come back.
Yeah, so this episode's more, I guess, and this is mostly an Edison podcast, but this is for all the advanced format fans out there, and Edison format fans too, because
Yeah.
there's some cards on here that's been on the list for quite a while. So
Yes.
it's nice to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get started here. Arch Nemesis Protos. I feel like this one is pretty obvious why this one is banned.
Yeah, it made Sword Soul too strong of a deck. The ability, just it's a floodgate. Your opponent can't play. And it's the thing about it too is, like, it's not just for one turn; it's the next turn too. So
yeah, and it was searchable.
It's searchable. And I think with, like, just the addition of, like, a lot of the non-engine cards in the deck too, or that's come out since then, I just don't think that it would be good for the game. I think it would make Sword Soul a lot better than what it is, but I think cards like that in general are just unhealthy.
Yeah, it was Sword Soul's one, like, just absolutely busted card that they had, because everything else in that deck is pretty fair, other than Protos, and even Sword Soul players would tell you that card was really unfair.
Yeah. The fact that it's searchable in that deck is what makes it broken.
Yeah, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, so you can just keep calling Dark, and every single turn lock your opponent out of Dark monsters.
Yeah, when you have a board that is backed up by 2 negates, like you have Chichao, then you have Barone, and I think back then too, like, a lot of people were playing, like, the DPE packet, so you'd have DPE, and then just to back it up with a card that just says you can't play the game, it's supremely unfair. So I don't see it coming back anytime soon. I don't see there really being a need to errata it to bring it back either. I just don't think there's really any need to pay attention to that card.
Yep, I think it will remain on the forbidden list for a long time, if not forever.
Yeah.
Okay, moving down, all 3 of the top cards on this list are all very similar. The card number 2 is Artifact Scythe, which I feel like is just yet another lingering effect that locks your opponent out of a big mechanic of the game.
Yeah, it's like before, the fact that you can search the card off Dagda, which is still in the game.
Yes.
And set it and then pop it with, like, your own cards. And there's a plethora of cards in the game that can do that. Is just extremely unfair too. It's the same as the first one.
Yeah. I think that's all needs to be said about that one, and I don't think that card's coming back anytime soon either. So yet again, the third card on here, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. You're noticing a trend. All 3 of these cards do, like, the same thing. Stormwinds, yet again, highly searchable card, locks your opponent out of special summoning unless they're playing a wind deck or another Flow Wanderese deck. But most of the time, this card just completely locks your opponent out of playing the game.
Yeah. I think that if the flu deck was hit, maybe I think Rabina's the one that searches the level 4 or lower.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if that card was limited or that deck saw some kind of limit, it might be able to come back. I think out of the top 3, that one is the most plausible, the most reasonable, and the most fair.
Yeah.
Because the Link 3 Samorg is, I think it's banned, right?
Yes. Yep. He is
Okay,
banned.
yeah. So I know that especially like in decks like Tri Brigade, and then of course like Flu, those two decks really capitalized on that card. But any card that says you just can't special summon, you're locked out of doing any like a mechanic of the game is just unfair. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future we don't get archetypes or support that puts the other three statues on this list at some point.
Yep. Yep. I would not be surprised either. So, moving down into some fun ones to talk about here, we have Blackwing Gofu the Vague Shadow.
Yeah, any card that is an inherent special summon and brings out two tokens for link fodder
Yeah.
is just absurd. I
I'm
mean,
actually
as
about
much
to
as I love
go
Black,
read this guy because I have not read
yeah,
this card in forever.
yeah. So I actually got it pulled up if you want me to read it for you.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead. I
Yeah,
know he
so it
makes
can't be
tokens.
normal. Yep, it can't be normal summon or set. I actually pulled up a whole bunch of cards that I just wasn't familiar with.
Right.
Must first be special summon from your hand while you control no monster. So once again, it's not an effect; it's just an inherent summon like Cyber Dragon. When this card is special summoned from the hand, effect, you can special summon two Vague Shadow tokens, but they cannot be tributed or used as synchro material. That's okay. They were mostly used back in 2017 for link summoning. You can banish this card and one more face-up non-tuner you control, then target one Blackwing Synchro monster in your graveyard, whose level equals the total levels of the banished monsters they had on the field, and special summon it. But it was not used for that effect. It was used so it was a quick link climb.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I
so.
think that that Gofu, unfortunately, is another one of those that kind of just stands the test of time. I don't really ever see in a game where links
Well,
exist that card ever being bad.
yeah, I don't either. I think that if it had the errata to only being able to synchro summon,
Yeah.
I think maybe we could see it come back. But yeah, as long as link summoning is a mechanic, and with as generic as a lot of link monsters are, I just don't see it coming back anytime soon.
Yep. I think he'll continue to live here as well. So moving down, we have Block Dragon, which I really missed this format. I think everyone kind of did if you didn't play online, because this was Adamancer format right at the start of COVID. So I'm gonna go look him up and reread what this card does. Let's see. Cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by banishing 3 Earth monsters from your hand or graveyard. It cannot be special summoned by other ways. Rock type monsters you control cannot be destroyed except by battle. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add up to 3 rock monsters from your deck to your hand, whose total levels equal 8. You can only use this effect of Block Dragon once per turn. That guy, I remember seeing some people play with that card, and it did look pretty crazy. I don't think that this card is anything that would destroy the game if it came back. This is one I feel like could just be at 1 and probably change little to nothing.
Yeah,
It would just it would be throwing Adamancipator. That's so hard to say. Adamancipator players a bone. And if they ever choose to give that deck new support, it'll probably go to 1.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all that needs to be said about Block Dragon. So moving on, Cyberstein. This really surprised me when this card got rebanned.
Um, yeah, it did me too. But the fact that it was you could turbo it out from the deck.
Yeah, it
Um,
wasn't really an
I,
issue till you could do that.
I still think that there are broken fusions that you could summon. Like I know it's going to sound redundant, it's like goat format, but like Last Warrior from Another Planet, just locking your like anybody out of summoning. Once again, there you go into the floodgates.
Yeah, next
Um,
Nichirio Exterio.
yeah, exactly. And I forgot about that card. That's what people brought out with. I'm thinking goat format.
Yeah,
Um, but I just think that the fact that it just bypasses game mechanics and ignores the rules, and just that special summon this card is a little busted. And in a game where life points aren't really a resource anymore, that is, or I mean, they're just a resource, right? So in a game where like life points really don't matter outside of for things like this, I think the card is deserving of being on the list.
Yeah, me too. I don't think this card will probably ever get unbanned again.
Yeah.
So next we have Dandelion, and this is a very quick. This guy's never getting unbanned
No.
because obviously it's very broken with link summoning. But you have to think about. I'm pretty sure when Dandelion existed, I don't think Cherubini was out at that time.
No, Cherubini was exclusive. It was like a TCG import. And was it Saiho?
I
Maybe
couldn't
I
tell
don't
you.
remember I think it was, but yeah, the fact that you could, let's say you could Cherubini in that, and then just get 2 tokens, and then like just further extend your combo line,
Yeah,
and go into like a rank 4 or like even a rank 5 now, um, is just absurd. Not to mention like you have like decks like the Rika deck and everything now too. That this card would I'm assuming would just be busted in. You have like the new synchron strategies and everything, and the fact the card doesn't have any limitations on it, um, it's scary. I mean, the card was busted 13 years ago. Um, and the fact that we have so many more engines, archetypes, and new mechanics in the game, that would just make this card absurd if it was, able to see
yeah,
play.
yeah. I'm getting like PTSD thinking about like Cherubini, dump Dandelion, do a bunch of stuff, cross sheep back
Yeah.
Dandelion, link with Dandelion again. Yeah, I think he can just. I love this card, but he can just live where he is.
Yep.
Next one is Jijin, Releaser of Rituals. This kind of just ties back into like the first 3 cards on this list that we discussed.
Yeah.
And
Necros. Yeah. So this is on the list because of Necros, right? I'm pretty sure.
yeah, this is on the list because
Yeah.
of Necros specifically.
And funny because this card is actually an Edison format too.
Yeah, it's in Edison. There's just not really a good way to use it.
No. Well, that pretty much speaks for itself.
Yeah, this card, there maybe one of the biggest problems with Djinn was Lavalval Chain, which is also banned, but this is still level 3. So, once again, Cherubini send Djinn could probably lead to some really impressive things.
The fact that we have new ritual support coming out,
Yes.
that is already pretty good. I just don't see, and then you have Drytron, which is the thing, and people can be like, oh, they might release it to because there's new ritual support, and well, they didn't release it for Drytron, right? That was heavily hyped.
Yeah.
So I think that card is just too good, and it makes already powerful cards even more broken. So I don't miss it. I don't think anybody really misses it, and I think it can stay on the list.
Yep, me too. Moving down to Eclipse Wyvern. I actually forget that this card's even banned.
Yeah.
I don't think that this card is broken enough to be banned. I think this card is absurd in some ways, and I don't think that it should be unlimited, but I don't think that it's broken enough to be banned, at least not anymore.
So you have Curious is on the list, it's banned, like the Dragon Rulers for the most part. Just things that made this card broken are already on the list. And this card I think was on the list before Curious even came out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Curious got banned because of... Did Tier Elements get this card banned?
I think that if we see the Dragon Rulers come off the list and see we got to see how Dragon Link evolves in the next couple years, then maybe this card could pose a problem. But I think it could come back to 1.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it would come back to 1 and not do anything. Moving on to Ava. This thing can stay where it's at. This thing was broken at 1 in Drytron. I think that Ava will probably live here for a while. I don't think it's so broken that it can never get unbanned, but I think it's probably just going to live here for a while. What do you think?
I don't really have much to say about it. You're right. I mean, Drytron was just a really strong deck. And Ava just with Harold. I think Harold's back at 3 now.
Yeah, let me check. I'm pretty sure Harold just went back to 3.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think Ava needs to come off the list.
Yeah, I think Ava can just stay there. Alongside the next one, Fairy Tale Snow, which got unbanned, early last year or late the year before that, and pretty much
Yeah.
prove that this card can still not exist in advanced format.
Like, I don't know. I'm a little bit indifferent to Fairy Tale Snow because, like, so first, it's a quick effect Book of Moon, right? But, like, the fact that it can banish 7 cards. Um, I'm just trying to think of what decks would really benefit off of a card like that. Like, you go back and you look, and, like, Thunder Dragon's not a thing. I guess Dragon Link would be a deck that would probably benefit off something like that.
And Branded really liked this
Branded,
card.
yeah. So yeah, I didn't even think about branded. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think
Branded
you're right.
Fusion, sending Fairy Tale Snow banish your tragedies and stuff. It felt really, really good to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be here for a while. The next one is something that a lot of people disagree with me on, and this card is Fiber Jar, and I think this card could get unbanned and do nothing. It's just literally the same thing as Cyber Jar. I mean, you might get people that are trolling and put this in like their guru deck, but that deck's already bad anyway. So I don't
Yeah.
think that Fiber Jar, no one's going to play a flip effect card that has to be flipped in 2023. And even
Well,
if you do play it, it's the odds of that card resolving.
I think what gets me too is like you have cards like Morphing Jar that you can play,
Yeah.
and Morphing Jar is just inherently better because it puts your hand into the grave, which is just another resource for the game, as opposed to putting it back in the deck, and then you're still drawing 5 cards.
Yeah.
So the fact that, like you said, the flip effect, no one's going to play Fiber Jar when a lot of decks now, just with their own engine, can net you +3, +4, advantage on turn one, right?
Right.
So I think this card's just too slow, and I think it could come back to 3 and nobody will bat an eye.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to put Fiber Jar in their deck. So next we have Fishborg Blaster. I'm not even really sure why this card. Let me reread this card. It's in Edison, but it's so rare that you come across someone playing this. If you control a face-up level 3 or lower water, discard a card, special summon this card from your graveyard. If it's used as synchro material, all other synchro material must be water. This card probably won't get unbanned just because it's not once per turn.
Yeah. If they did a reprint of it that was once per turn, then I think the card could come back.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of like water decks right now that like maybe so all the tier limit monsters I think are level 4. I'm not really sure. I don't know if that has any
I
bearing
think
on it.
some of them are level 3.
Okay.
I think Havanus is level 3.
Okay. Um.
I think, what's it? Shaylin?
Yeah.
Sheeran's level 4 and Rhino Heart's level 4. Murley's level 2
Okay.
and Havanus level 3, but they're dark. They're not water.
Gotcha. That's right.
Even
So
even though they probably should
well,
be.
Rhino Heart's water, I believe.
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure Rhino Heart is
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know. The fact it's not once per turn, I guess, is what keeps it on the list. But if it had that once per turn clause, then it probably could come back for
Yeah.
sure. Because I just don't think there's any deck right now that can abuse it.
Yeah. Moving along to Glow Up Bulb. I kind of thought this card was going to get unbanned when they banned Halka Fibrax. This card has
Yeah.
been banned twice in Yu-Gi-Oh's history. Got banned and then got unbanned, and now it's banned again. I don't know. I don't know enough about the decks that exist in advanced format right now to know if this card would change much.
Yeah.
So,
I
I mean,
think when you look at decks like Rika that can like constantly, I think, bring out their um oh my goodness, the level 1 normal monster they play in the deck.
right. I know what
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah,
about.
like you have decks like that, like Rika, like it abuses that card for like its link climbing and everything. I don't think Glow Up Bulb would add anything to the game that doesn't already exist to some extent.
Yeah.
The fact that it's once per duel for its milling effect of special back, it reminds me of Zephyros, right? Um, it's once per duel, so like people wouldn't play more than one copy of it. Obviously, it'd probably be like you could turbo it out or send it to grave, use through other means, but I don't think it would hurt the game if it came back to 1.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be like some kind of glow up bulb FTK or something. So next is Grinder Golem, and yet again, this is kind of the same thing as Dandelion. This card was banned because of links, and specifically, I'm pretty sure it's Akashic Magician that bounces what it points to. So you could like give this to your opponent, get 2 tokens, make Akashic, bounce your Grinder Golem back, summon it again, get 2 more tokens. Kind of the same thing as Dandelion. This guy, he ain't never leaving. He's in jail forever.
Yeah. And the only limitation on it is you can't normal summon or set, but we're in a game now that like your turn doesn't really depend on a normal summon.
Yeah, if you're getting that many tokens for free, like you're not going to need a normal.
No.
Next one is Level Eater, and I don't think this card will ever get unbanned either. Non-once per turn effects that have pretty much no real cost. Like, this guy got banned because of, I think there was some kind of like Dark Lord deck, and they're all level 8s, and you could somehow just spam Level Eater over and over and over again. And I don't think this guy will ever get unbanned just because of what the limitations on it are. So next we have Magical Scientist.
Yeah. Magical Science, FTK. It's just an FTK. You know, you're good. It's just an FTK enabler. It's unhealthy for the game. I think the fact it's flip effect though. That's flip effect, right?
No, I think it's like you. Let me read it.
I got it pulled up for you.
Okay, I can't remember. I've never actually even played a game with this card.
No, it's not. I don't know why I thought it was flip effect. Pay 1,000 life points, special summon 1 level 6 lower fusion monster from your extra deck. So basically, we go back to like Cyberstein. This just has a way lower life point cost, and the fact that it is not once per turn. So theoretically, if you got any kind of boost, you could special summon up to 8 times per turn. I go back to thinking like, thank God this card was not around when Kit Kalos was off, not on the list.
Yeah.
That would be insane. We already have cards like Instant Fusion and everything that are already busted. And I think having this dude being level 1, you have like 1-for-1, things like that. And then the fact that it's not once per turn, I think, is what keeps this card on the list.
Yeah, me too. I think that he'll be here for a while. Next one is Magispector Unicorn Kieran. And I think this guy's getting unbanned as soon as we get the new Magispector cards. I think that some people thought it was going to get unbanned last list, but that wouldn't have made sense because we don't have the cards. It just, they're giving us new Magispector support. This would be a good time to unban Kieran. I think that this card could still pose a problem. Probably the same problem that it posed back in the day. It's untargetable, undestroyable. But I think that that's just a money move for Konami. I definitely think that this guy will get unbanned.
Yeah, I do too. And when you look at the new support coming out for the deck, like it's really, really good. Already being able to search a field spell that is pretty much Imperial Order.
Yeah.
I do think this card can come off the list. I know the last OCG list did not bring it back. However, we're not the OCG, and Konami here wants to sell products. I can see a rarity upgrade for this card too.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, I don't think that the pendulum mechanic is strong. I don't think everyone's going to be on the deck if it does come back. Is what I'm getting at. Like the pendulum mechanic. If they keep things like, and we'll get to it later. Oh goodness, the Link monster.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know its name. Metal Foes.
Yeah. Electromite. So, yeah, as long as Electromite stays off the list, I think just the ceiling for pendulums is limited. I think it's going to come back to 1.
I do too. I think that's just, like I said, that's just a Konami money move. So next we have Masterpiece, True Draco Slaying King, kind of from the same era as Kieran. And I just really don't like True Draco. I don't think this guy should get unbanned. I would love to play this guy in Dragonic Diagram and Crystal Beast though, but I think this card is kind of just designed to withstand the test of time. I don't know when a card that's unaffected by like 2 of 3 cards, card typings, and gets a pop every turn and is really big. I don't think there's a time that'll ever be bad in Yu-Gi-Oh. So
Well, like, yeah, I agree with that to an extent. I think coming back to one though, if we got new support in the future, wouldn't be horrible because we do have things now like kaiju's. Um, we do have things like lava golems, your sphere modes, and things like that that could out it. Um, I think coming back to one in a deck that already inherently has other problems um, wouldn't be such a bad thing. Um, I still think that that deck is still slow, and I mean that was what 7 years ago,
mm-hmm.
6 years ago.
Yeah,
Um,
2016, 2017, something
yeah,
like that.
because when you look at other cards that exist that are like unaffected, they just still lose to removal like kaiju's and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know. I think it can come back to one, and I do think that when we do get support, we might see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can agree with that. Okay, next we have the most talked about, the most debated about card, probably on the list, is Max C. Community is completely divided. You have people, enthusiasts that think this card should be legal, people that think it shouldn't be. And I'm on the side of the fence where I don't think this card should be legal. I think
No,
that. What were you about to say? I'm sorry.
uh, no, you're good. I'm just saying I agree with you.
Yeah, I think this card
Like,
came out when Konami gave us hand traps and efforts to try to like balance the game. And I think this card's a good example of that. It came out at a time where special summoning was starting to really pick up. So like, okay, we'll give you this card to help counter, these crazy decks that synchro so much. And I think that it was fine, for a while. And now the problem with Max C is when you go first, your opponent doesn't have Max C. You set up a field backed by Max C. The game is just completely over.
like, so when Max C came out, right? And I play a lot of like we play, I play a lot of Tengu, play a lot. We play Hat Online. A lot back then was still like you're not drawing any really super powerful non-engine cards that are great going second, right? You're not drawing any board breakers. So when you are summoning and your opponent's drawing 3 or 4 cards, it's not going to be such a big deal outside of just them having card advantage. Now, if you have this big board and you summon 15 times in a turn, which is pretty normal for a combo deck, opponent's drawing into their deck already 20 cards, right? And they're going to draw 21 cards on their they're going ninja cards like even that. They're going to see their Dark Ruler No Mores. They're going to see their Forbidden Droplets. They're going to see all these non-engine cards that are just going to take away everything that you spent 20 minutes doing that turn one, and then they're going to use their engine cards and just win. And
Yeah.
that's just off of one maxi.
Yeah. So I don't think this guy is ever coming back.
No.
I think that if Konami is going to unban Max C, and the same can be said about all of these cards on here. If they're going to unban something and errata it, I think they should just print a new card, which I think they've kind of started doing that. Kind of how they gave us like they retrained Dandelion, they retrained Ultimate Offering, stuff like that. I like that more than just ruining cards. Like, this is going off topic here for a second, but they gave Brain Control a terrible errata just to unban it, and now Change of Heart exists and is way
Yeah.
more broken than Brain Control. Change of Heart takes anything with no cost. At least Brain Control pays 800, takes face up.
Yeah. Um, I agree. Just print a new card. It's crazy too. This card was printed 12 years ago and is probably the most powerful hand trap we have yet.
Yeah.
Um, that's just insane. Just how the game has evolved has made this card too broken. And when you look at you look at the OCG formats, Max C I think is the definitive answer as to why the game is different over there than it is here. And it's not
Hmm.
just because they're a set or two ahead, right?
Yeah.
It's because they have to build their deck to either play around Max C, they play Max C. I do not want to play a game where I have to play 3 Max C and then play 3 cross out designators so I don't get hit with Max C.
Yeah, I don't either. Me either. So next one is Mind Master, and I need to look this guy up again because I actually don't even remember when this card got banned or why this card got banned. You can pay 800 life points and tribute one psychic monster except Mind Master to special summon one level 4 or lower psychic monster from your deck in face-up attack position. Okay, so this is literally Substitute.
Yeah,
For
and
psychics.
you have decks like that are punk running around.
Yes, yeah, and I'm pretty sure this guy is also a tuner. He is a level 1 psychic tuner, so yeah, this guy, just reading that effect, I don't think this guy will ever get unbanned.
Yeah.
Orcust Harp Horror. This card is just on here because Konami hates Orcust players, to be honest with you. I don't think this card should be at 3, but there's no reason this card can't be at 1. I mean, it's not going to make Orcust any better. It's going to make it slightly better, but it's not going to make it anything that's going to just destroy the whole meta. You know, like, give Orcust players their Harp Horror back. They've waited long enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Performage Plush Fire. I kind of feel the same way. I don't think there's any reason this card should be banned.
Yeah, I got it pulled up here. Literally, when it's destroyed by a card effect, especially summon a performance monster from the deck. I think that you already have enough cards within the pendulum mechanic that just specials from the deck. This is just another name, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna. You could come back to 1, maybe even 2, maybe even 3. I'm not a pendulum player. I can't answer that, but just by looking at it and knowing what already exists and what's coming out, I don't think this card is gonna. It's just gonna be a win more card, if anything. It can come back.
Yep. All right. Phoenixian, I don't even know how to say this. Cluster Amaryllis is banned in Advanced. Wish it was banned in Edison. But I don't know why this card's banned. I'm sure there's some kind of, like, you know,
Loop.
Dump your whole deck, loop, burn your opponent on turn 1 is probably why this card's banned.
Yeah. Inherently, though, when you look just at the card itself, it's a fair card. But
yeah.
we're looking at a card pool now that is 3 times as big as it was, or twice as big as it was back in 2010. You know.
Yeah.
There's something somewhere that's going to let you reborn, pop, 10 times, and then it's game.
Yep. Yep. He's not coming back. Next, we have Redox, Dragon Ruler of Boulders. People always say this one can't come back. I don't know. I really don't know enough about how I feel like this card could change the game. You know, I think we're way past a random Earth deck playing 1 Redox for a Reborn effect. Yeah. I just don't think they're going to do that. We don't have the Galaxy guy that can dump 3 dragons. I think the other 2 rulers could be at 1 and it would just be a buff for Dragon Link if they choose to play those, or any kind of dragon deck or Earth deck that wants to play Redox. I don't think it's going to change anything. I don't think it would be a move like Snatch Steal where we're like, oh no, go back, you know, reban this card.
Yeah.
Rodent Totem, good riddance, honestly. This card should never have been printed with the way that this card functions. Non-once per turn special summon for pretty much no cost. I don't think this guy will ever come back. He's already been the main reason of 1 FTK.
Yeah.
It's not Spiral. What's the name of that deck? Sprite. Got him rebanned. I think they just leave him banned and not worry about it anymore.
Speaking of Spiral.
Yeah, speaking of Spiral Master Plan.
Yeah. This card literally adds 3 cards from your deck to your hand.
Yeah, this card is dumb.
The first one's not hard once per turn. I think it can stay off the list.
Yeah.
Just stay on the list.
Yeah, I love Spiral as a deck because I played that deck before they got the Link monsters when it was like Ancient Fairy Dragon Turbo. But even then, that deck felt really stupid. So I think that Spiral Master Plan should just stay banned. So next we have the Tyrant Neptune, and I need to read this card. I feel like this is another FTK kind of card.
I don't know. It's not looking good to me.
Cannot be special summon. You can tribute summon this card. Oh, hold on. My page refreshed. Too powerful. You can tribute summon this card by tributing one monster. This card gains the total original attack and defense of the monsters tributed for its tribute summon. When this card is tribute summoned, target one effect monster in the graveyard that was tributed for the tribute summon. This card's name becomes that target's name and gains that target's effects. Okay, so this guy's copying something that causes an FTK to happen, because that's the only reason I can see this card being on here.
Yeah. Well, if you figure out what that is, let me know. Because like just inherently looking at that card, like it's on the list for a reason, right? But like I couldn't tell you when it went on the list, but
Me
just
either.
like looking at it, it's like okay, it's almost like a worse Phantom of Chaos.
Yeah, there's some kind of something. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want it to get unbanned because I feel like this enables some kind of FTK. Because it's, at first glance, you're like, this card is even good, but there's got to be a reason.
Looks cool.
It does look cool. So we talked about Redox and Tidal kind of already. I'd be more inclined to say I wouldn't want Tidal to get unbanned because I feel like water is always a strong attribute. But I don't know. I mean, if you put Tidal in your Mermail deck, does it really make your Mermail deck become higher on the tier list? Like, just be honest with yourself.
If you're playing Mermails, you're probably playing Mermail format or hat format, which Tidal's there anyway. So
yeah,
yeah.
So next is Victory Dragon. This card should be a 3. There's no reason this card should be banned.
Yeah. Okay, listen, dude. If I'm playing somebody and they win with Victory Dragon, I'm gonna scoop the whole match anyway. Like,
yeah. This card, no one is even going to play this card. This card,
and the fact, yeah, there are so many cards like that, like prize cards and stuff. That one just happens to be the one accessible to the public and everything. But attacking directly to win the match, like, dude, that's like the whole attack with Dark Magician for game meme.
Yeah, no one is going to tribute their Dragon Link board to summon Victory Dragon just for their opponent to go, okay, I scoop. There's no reason for this card to be banned whatsoever. Okay, that's all the regular monsters. So we've made it to the fusions, and let's see how much time we have left. We're at 37 minutes. We'll go through the fusions and we'll stop there, and then we can cover everything from the links and further on the next one.
Sounds good.
Elder Entity Norden, I would say could get at first I would say could get unbanned if Instant Fusion is banned. But this card didn't even get banned because of Instant Fusion. It got banned because of Fusion Substitute.
Yeah.
So hard making this card got him banned.
Yeah. I think that was really popular last in the Lunalight, when like the Lunalight deck.
Yeah. I don't think Norden will ever get unbanned. And the same goes for this Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom, because of, I actually do know what that FTK is. It's an FTK with the Lunalight, with the Lyrilisk guy. You just burn your opponent for all their life on turn 1. So same kind of goes for him. Tier Elements Kit Kalos is banned for a reason. I remember I read this card for the first time and I thought it was a proxy.
And it also goes back to the Instant Fusion thing. As long as Instant Fusion's a card, that can't be a card.
Yeah, I'm going to reread Kit Kalos right now, just for anyone, because some people might exclusive just be Edison like we are, but it's a Tier Elements monster plus an Aqua. It says this card is special summoned, not fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can take one Tier Elements card from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can target one monster you control, special summon one Tier Elements monster from your hand or graveyard, and if you do, send the targeted monster to the graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can send the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard.
Yeah. So
yeah, no surprise.
You search one, special one, send itself to grave, mill 5 cards.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, even with the tier monsters being at 1, like limited, like just all the cards that benefit from being in the grave. That card needs to stay on the list. It sucks too because, man, the artwork is so pretty and the deck is fun to play. But yeah, it deserves to be on the list.
Yep. Okay, the last banned fusion. This is probably what we'll eat the last 5 minutes on. Thunder Dragon Colossus.
Okay, we could talk. We could have a whole podcast on Thunder Dragons. You know we could.
We could, absolutely.
This is by far. I'm gonna go off on a tangent. This is by far the most for my life. Like, No cap.
What did you say? You kind of cut out there. Oh no, he's gone.
Oh, sorry, connected to Bluetooth. Yeah, Thunder Dragon is like by far out of the 18 years I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh, 19 years, whatever. Thunder Dragon is by far my favorite deck.
Yeah, Thunder Dragon was so much fun to play, and I'm just gonna say it. This card shouldn't be banned. This card shouldn't be at 3. I will follow up with that. It
No.
should not be at 3,
And
but it should not be banned.
I tell you why too, right? So a lot of people are going to be like, well, you got decks like Dragon Link, or you got decks. I think there's that one corridor card,
Nemesis Corridor.
Yeah, people are like, well, any deck can just vomit Colossus, right? But when you look at M boards now, like M boards now just don't allow you to play anyway, right?
Yeah,
And when Thunder Dragon back, 4 years ago, 5 years ago was the thing, the deck never won a YCS. The deck was always present in the top cut and everything, but the deck wasn't so busted that it just made the game unplayable. Now you have cards like Dark Ruler No More. You have Forbidden Droplet. Um, Forbidden Droplet takes away the search. I mean, it gives you back your search. It takes away the protection ability. Um, you have like things like kaijus, like I mentioned, that evenly match things like that.
super
That having
poly.
Colossus back at 1, I think, would be good for the Thunder Dragon. Yeah, super poly. So I mean, Thunder Dragons by itself, I don't think is going to be like a lot better than any other deck that's in the format now with one Colossus. It would
Me
make
either.
it would make the deck playable again. It would make the deck. I think people would use Thunder Dragons more of an engine, maybe like in Dragon Link, um, something like that. But I like the card. I think it could come back to 1. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe we're biased. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that this guy, I don't think it would change much in the game. People can argue the Nemesis Corridor thing. If you're putting Nemesis Corridor in your deck, okay, it does nothing besides summon Colossus. I just don't think anyone's going to do that. People won't even main deck Duster because it's not a combo card. So I don't think that's, and you know, the cutting off the searching, people don't like Colossus, but they're fine with Droll and Lockword being at 3, which has very limited outs. You have like decks that can search in the draw phase, and then you have one Called by the Grave, you have one Gamma, you have Cross Out Designator, which means you have to play Droll and Lockbird, and you have like Sales Ban and Prohibition, and that's it. Those are the only cards that stop Droll and Lockbird, and half of those aren't even good. The number of outs to Colossus, every deck naturally just plays cards that get over Colossus now. Like every deck plays triple Imperm.
Yeah.
You have Imperm.
Imperm. You have Evenly. You have Dark Ruler. Droplet's back in the format now because Cashier is gone.
Yeah.
So many cards that
it just goes on and on. Honestly, the number of cards that can get over Colossus, Super Poly, Kaijus, Lava Golem, it just goes on and on and on. Chalice, Imperm, and I looked at it one day. There are like over 30 outs to Colossus and like less than 5 to Droll and Lockbird.
Yeah.
So I think that it's much easier to get over a Colossus. I would much rather my opponent Colossus me than Droll me, because at least I can remove the Colossus. Once I'm Drolled, that's it. That's the whole turn.
Yeah, and like, I mean, the card's been on the list now for almost 4 years. I think it was January of 2020, that list, the really big list.
Yeah, because that's when I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh again, and I loved Thunder Dragons, but I never even got to really play the deck with Colossus.
And like, just speaking from experience too, because I played the deck back in Link format, like when it came out. Like, I remember going to a regional and was playing Altergeist, and it might have been a YCS, and like around 4 or 5, I ended up scrubbing out, just because like I wasn't really familiar with the Altergeist deck and wasn't familiar with how like the lines of play and everything, and ended up selling the deck and picking up Thunder Dragon. And I remember even ending on like 2 Colossus and a Titan, or ending on 3 Colossus. Like, I'm just going to lose to Dingirsu or something like that, going second, because just they're not that hard to remove. And like I said, the deck's never won a YCS, right? So I think that the decks that we've had since then, like oh gosh, like just the decks we have now. I'm trying to think about the new horror stuff that's really, really good out. You have like things like Sprite, which has like just in-engine removal in itself. So many decks that can just deal with Colossus with just their engine. Not to mention all the non-engine cards we just named.
Yeah. You just like you make double or triple Colossus and you just get super polyed and your day is just ruined.
Yeah, and then I didn't even think about this, but Book of Moon and Book of Eclipse is being played still.
Yeah,
So
people literally played like Book of Eclipse, Lunar Eclipse, and Book of Moon to get over a Rise Heart.
yeah,
I mean, it would just be no different with something like Colossus. Okay, well, that's about 45 minutes. So I think breaking these up into 45-minute segments will be good because even though we made a lot of ground, we still have a long way to go with this.
yeah, and I think that we're going to spend quite a bit of time on the link section too.
Yeah, spoiler alert, I don't think any of the link monsters should get unbanned.
We'll have to look at it. I think you're right. I think that because you look at when you look at the different, we'll talk about it when we get to links, but links are just like the most generic form of summoning there is.
Yes.
So inherently you're going to have a lot more broken cards. So
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And on the reverse end, I think a lot of the synchros can come off the list.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. And this is, like I mentioned in the beginning, this is part 1 of the multi-part series. We'll be back next week where we cover everything from the link monsters and below that. And we'll just go for 45 minutes until we get done old man rambling, and it'll be another episode after that. So thank you guys for listening, as always. And this is Mike and Justin from the Edison Club signing out. Until the next one.